Well, hello there, everybody. Hi, welcome to the latest episode of Movies America Spoiler Warning. And as always, I am your humble host, Van Eberts. And man, do we have a treat for you tonight and a treat for me too, okay? Because I say that because sometimes, the movies that I sometimes have to review, it's not a treat for me and most likely not a treat for you. But tonight, we've got an actual movie that is worth my time and your time here. So thank the movie gods for that. For God's sakes, I swear to God. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about To Live and Die in L.A. This is a retro version of Movies America. Spoiler warning, because we're talking about a movie that came out way back in ancient prehistoric times. Where people always talk like this, and they just they didn't have no running water, had no electricity, and they all traveled in Conestoga wagons. Okay, maybe not that far back, but a few years ago, back in 1985. So To Live and Die in L.A. will be our movie for tonight, and this is your chance to not just watch, but you can get involved here via the live chat. Okay, so if you're a big To Live and Die in L.A. fan like I am, you get the live chat, and you can. Let me know what you think about the movie or whatever you want about this movie here. Ultimately, I can't stop you from chatting whatever you want in the live chat or anything like that. But we'll get into more of that after this.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies America.
All right, everybody. Welcome back here to my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics here. And so, yeah, like I said here, I'm not doing a review or a discussion on a new movie. We're talking about the William Friedkin cop crime thriller classic To Live and Die in L.A. Tonight. And so we're going back to the 80s, which so I think that some people will agree with me on this. So when you watch a bunch of current movies, a bunch of newer movies here, and then you go back to watch a movie from the 80s, it's trippy. It is definitely trippy. And I would imagine, especially if you didn't grow up in the 80s and you grew up in these times, where you get too many people that are a little too sensitive, they kind of overcorrect in the sensitivity area, they're like delicate and fragile. We're back in the 80s, man. Like I'm Gen X. Back in the 80s and 70s and 60s and times before that, like we didn't hold back, man. We rough around, we rough house around and tussle, and it wasn't as dainty a time back then as we live in right now. Everyone's like too overly sensitive now. So when you watch a movie like To Live and Die in L.A., you watch that movie, and especially people that are younger are going to watch that movie. They're like, ooh, that would not pass today, man. Ooh, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, or 20th Century Studios, Paramount. Ooh, they are not green lighting a movie like that today. Not at all, okay? And so yeah, To Live and Die in L.A. is just chock full of those moments in there. So, and hey, we got Mr. Scott Awesome up in here in the live chat here saying hello here as he joins the To Live and Die in L.A. version of Movies America. Spoiler warning. Absolutely good to see you there, brother. And hey, did you have a chance to watch To Live and Die in L.A.? Man, I'm interested because yeah, if you did, I'm interested to see your thoughts on this. This is a movie where just it's always interesting to see like what kind of reaction somebody has to it, because this is a movie where either like in my experience, just my experience alone, people either love this movie or they hate it. It's kind of like that movie. Remember the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling? People either love that movie. I, for the record, love the movie Drive, or people hate that movie. Okay, and so yeah, interested to see if Mr. Scott Awesome had a chance to check it out and what he thinks on that. So, but yeah, this is one of those movies where, and just in case, again, the title of the show is Movies America spoiler warning. So I'm warning you, even in the title, that I'm going to be dropping spoilers here, and I'm about to drop a big spoiler right now. So whoever hasn't seen the movie, you might either want to just mute this part right there, or just go la 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 for about the next, I don't know, 2 hours. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, at least for the next 5 minutes, I'd say right there. So didn't get a chance to watch the movie. Busy week. I had to cut up a tree that fell down on my days off, and then work been kicking my ass this week. Yeah, I know, man. I tell you, we park our car in the same garage on that. It's like I just, as far as like, welcome. Let me rephrase. Okay, so you would think as a movie critic, I get to watch like movies after movie after movie after movie after movie. Well, that's true for people that have been doing this long enough where they've basically, this is their career, right? They got all day long. But I am, on team Mr. Scott Awesome. I have got a day job that I do in addition to this. This is just a side hustle that I'm hoping turns into a full time gig here. But the full time giggers, the full time movie critics, they're the ones who have all day long 7 days a week to go see movies. So I don't get to see near as many movies as I want. I mean, I'll be watching other, YouTube or Rumble shows with movie critics, and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I saw, friends, 10 movies this week." And I'm like, "What?" I mean, I'm lucky if I get to see like 2 movies a week, and to normie Norm, 2 movies a week. That's a lot. Even that little small number is a lot. A lot of them will probably be like, "Oh, okay, lazy ass. All right, I wish I had time to sit on my butt and watch 2 movies there. All right, Mister Movie Elite. Okay, why don't you get up and do some work? Like I had to cut up a tree that fell down. I had to do all that, and here you are, Van. You're sitting down watching movies. Well, no, I am not doing that. I think since last Sunday? What movie have I watched since last Sunday here? So I'm trying to think here. God, I don't think I haven't watched the movie yet this week. There, so there you go. But yeah, so I wish I was a full time movie critic for a number of reasons, but one of them is I wish I could go and watch movie after movie after movie, but not this guy right here. It's not a full time gig yet, so I guess I'm not quite good enough to do that. But so yeah, this next 5 minutes here, I'm gonna drop a big spoiler on you guys because I think it's fascinating to talk about. And that is the unexpected death of the main character in To Live and Die in L.A., Richard Chance, this Secret Service agent, Richard Chance. And it blew me away. I mean, well, it blew him away too, in this movie. And it just shows that William Friedkin, the director of this, has balls, just straight up balls, because he, we know it was his idea because there's a making of To Live and Die in L.A. documentary out there, and Bud Smith, like one of the co-producers of this movie, tells a story about how William Friedkin, or Billy Friedkin, how these Hollywood actors and directors and movie makers all call each other like by their nicknames and all that. Like we call him Robert De Niro, or I call him douchebag, but most people know him as Robert De Niro. But if you interview an actor, they're all like, yeah, I was hanging out with Bobby De Niro the other day, or something like that. Like in this movie, William L. Peterson is the star of the show, but you hear all throughout this documentary about To Live and Die in L.A., oh, it was great. I was reading lines with Billy Peterson. It's like this is kind of funny how that all happens. I'm trying to think of one that really floors me. Like instead of Martin Scorsese, people say Marty Scorsese or something like that. So it's kind of fascinating to me. I know I'm a movie nerd, So that's why I find it interesting, and probably nobody else finds it interesting. But yes, in this movie, the main character, Richard Chance, the Secret Service agent, does get killed like 10 minutes before the end of the movie. And I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, "What?" And so the that's obviously what William Friedkin was going for. You knew it would elicit that "Oh my god!" reaction there, but you knew that the ones that really had been paying attention to the movie, they knew that it was going to be one of those things where your main character, he lives by the sword, he dies by the sword, and so that him being killed is a representation of that right there. So and the character of Richard Chance, or Dickie Chance, or Rick Chance, they never call him Rick, they never call him Dick in this. They just call him, although he is a dick sometimes in this movie, but they call him Richard Chance or just Chance. But yeah, you see in a movie like this guy, he just he's not afraid of life. He's charismatic. He's not afraid of taking chances. He likes to go base jumping, off of bridges, and you can tell that just the way he carries himself. He doesn't hesitate. He's not like I I don't know if I should do this. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm scared. Maybe I should ask somebody if I should do this thing. Like, that is not him. That is not him. He's just like, you know what? I'm waking up. You know what? And it's time to kick some ass. I'm walking through the day. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm not gonna ask anybody's permission. All right. I'm getting shit done. I mean, that's his. He's just got that initiative, right? That he's action bound, right? And so that's the kind of character he is. And that includes how he acts around criminals, like Rick Masters here, played by Willem Dafoe. And so they get to that part, like 10 minutes before the movie's over with here, approximately, where they're doing the drug deal, or the drug deal, the deal for the funny money. They're in the locker at the gym with Rick Masters, and then Rick's henchman there. And I think, like Richard Chance, he just gets too cocky in that moment. He's like, "Hey, here's the money. Right there's the real money. Where's the funny money? Give me this." And then they go through the motions of taking Rick down there along with his henchman, and you just catch Chance. He's just slipping in this scene right here, because he doesn't have eyes on the henchman, and he's not watching all the time. He's got. I mean, you got to, in this situation right here, where you're taking him down, a couple scumbags, man. You got to have eyes in the back of your head. And I think he just kind of relaxes a little too much in that moment, and he pays for it with his life, because he's pinning up Rick Masters up against the locker, to locker there to arrest him, and then Rick's henchman grabs. He only grabs a big ass shotgun out of the locker. I mean, that's all it is, like a big monstrous shotgun. And the bad guy, the henchman, basically just blows Chance right in the head with a shotgun shell there, and just it's graphic. I mean, it's graphic and it's shocking there, and it reminds me of when you watch the first season of Game of Thrones. Spoilers, when it's the second to last episode of season 1 of Game of Thrones, and you see Sean Bean, you see Ned Stark get killed. And up until that point of season 1, Ned Stark had been the main character in Game of Thrones season 1. It's like, I mean, he was the guy, he was the protagonist in that show. And then Game of Thrones, the writers, I mean, George R. R. Martin wrote that, him being killed, in a move that took true balls, just kills off Ned Stark, the main character of the game of season 1 of Game of Thrones. And way before Game of Thrones, even before Game of Thrones was even written by George R. R. Martin, okay, we have Billy Friedkin. I can call him Billy Friedkin because I'm such close friends with Billy Friedkin. The director of The French Connection and The Exorcist, and of course To Live and Die in L.A. Okay, Billy Friedkin and I mean, he had some balls, and he basically killed his main character, again, way before Game of Thrones was even written there. So, but that was nuts to check this movie out and see that there. And of course, his partner Vukovic, played by John Pankow, can't believe it either. It was like, whoa, 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 whoa! I was following your lead most of the time over here. Okay, I'm just trying to coast on your fumes over here, and now I got to do all this thing by myself because you weren't careful. You basically you were slipping a banana peel and you got your head blown off for it. So it totally shocked him as well. But it's a shocking moment. And on top of that, there is an alternate ending that they shot, which is a pretty gay ending where Chance ends up living. Okay, where it's like they relocate Vukovic and Chance to some snowy outpost like in Alaska or something like that, out in the middle of nowhere. And so the last scene in the movie is, they show Vukovic and then they pan over the camera to the left and there's Chance laying on a bed, alive and well. And I was like, what a freak! That'd be like the MCU, some cop out, ending like that where nope, he's alive after all. Don't worry, people. So I'm glad they didn't go with that gay ass ending right there. So right there. Yeah, there we go. Hey, how you doing there, my buddy Sean? Right there. Good to see you there. That's absolutely awesome, and good to see you here. Join the show. All right, and there we go. Yeah, we got writer Albert Lanier here with joining us from the YouTube side. Great to see you join us here. Since the foreshadowing of Chance's death is at the beginning of To Live and Die in L.A., where he goes off the bridge, bungee jumping there. Yeah, exactly. You see that there, and then also I see another forecast of that too. Is when they're in a car chase, and he doesn't even hesitate for a second to go, you know what? I'm going to go up that entrance ramp right there. I'm going to go against the flow of traffic. I'm going to go on this big ass freeway, and I'm just going to go just throw caution to the wind and just go on this just try to get away from these bad guys here by driving right into oncoming traffic here on a freeway, no less there. And then I think like another one is like the fact that not only did he contemplate like taking down, with the Asian guy there, the guy coming off the train with the $50,000, he's like, most people would be like, well, okay, yes, it's under consideration, but I'm not going to do it. It's just too risky, too reckless. But not Chance. Chance is like, you know what? Yeah, sounds like a good old time to do that. I'm going to do that. It's it's no big deal. But there definitely is foreshadowing clues in this movie. But I just a lot of people are going to watch this movie. They're like, I can't believe the director actually did it, or the writer, But in this case, it was Friedkin that made the decision to kill Chance off at the end. But yeah, it's just, I can't believe they did it. My God, what balls! Okay, now of course some people will be like, some people who always want their movies to have a happy ending would say, "What nerve?" Okay, that kind of thing. So, all right here. Oh yeah, Mr. Scott Awesome here. I don't want to miss out on this one. Says that he watched Shelter last Friday, but he's a sucker for action movies, especially 80s, 90s. Jason Statham is one of the few action stars left that get low budget films released in theaters nowadays. Yeah, he does. I mean, because usually they're very low budget, and like you were saying there, and it's a better chance than not that you're going to make your money back with that. I mean, there's formulaic, but because there's always some different variation on the same theme right there, where Jason Statham is always like the most elites, the most highly skilled, the rarest. He's the diamond in the rough as far as like special ops, or he's the baddest ass fighter in the world. He's never like, well, Jason Statham's character, he's like, number 2, number 3, or he's, honorable mention. No, he's always the best. He's always he's the guy that you go to kill the number one guy who killed the other number one guy who killed the other number one guy. Like he's just the best. Okay, and so it gets kind of old sometimes. But now when they're done well, you could have like say a good example of that is Wrath of Man with Jason Statham, where that came out a few years ago, and it's pretty much the same Jason Statham plot that you always get. He's just badass. He's a badass criminal mastermind, and he kicks ass and takes name. But it's just the mood of the movie and the somberness and the grittiness and the roughness of the movie makes it good. So yeah, Wrath of Man, definitely worth checking out. One of my favorite Jason Statham movies, right there. So absolutely. All right, what else we got going on here? I know what I got going on. I'm getting me a swig of my beer, so drink them if you got them. Oh yeah. And speaking of like when Chance, gets his head blown off, there, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty graphic because William Friedkin doesn't hold back. This is back in the blessed holy times of blood squibs. That wondrous, glorious time where when somebody gets shot, you get a good, you get a good blood squib, to be used, with the bullet impact there. Um, a great example of that. Probably one of the more famous examples of the old blood squibs is, hey, RoboCop, right? When they're in the corporate headquarters there of Omnicorp, and they're demonstrating, Ed 209, right? And the hand the Desert Eagle, handgun to the corporate guy, and it's like hey, point your gun in a threatening manner, and he points to that Ed 209, and then Ed 209 glitches and doesn't back off, when the guy puts the handgun down, and then he just they blows the corporate lackey away. You just see blood splatter everywhere. Looks like the guy's made out of like grape jelly. It's disgusting, right? And those were blood squibs, right? And they used to use those back in the 90s and the 80s, and before that all the time. They're particularly like in the 90s and 80s there, and it looked like more of a. I mean, that scene's a bad example, but I was gonna say more realistic when someone gets shot. I mean, I've seen somebody get shot, in real life on video or someone, and not in real life, presently, where I was actually there. But you see people get shot, in real life on videos, and there's that blood splurting all over the place like there was in RoboCop. But in To Live and Die in L.A., the blood it does kind of go all over the place and that kind of thing, and not to the extent, or the lengths of like RoboCop or Total Recall or a movie like that, or if you've ever seen the Rambo movie that came out like in 2008 2009, there, that one that one, when someone gets shot, I mean, they can get shot like a couple times, all right, and like the top half of their body, gets blown off. There's it's comically violent. It's just hilarious to watch there. But I have a sick sense of humor right there. But I just I like the fact that To Live and Die in L.A. They do have that gritty when someone does get shot. Okay, and we see people get shot in this movie a lot. I mean, one unlucky son of a bitch gets shot right in the dick. All right, I mean, he deserved it. I don't know how how I feel about saying someone deserves to get shot, in the twig and berries, but he was all on the offense. He was doing some heinous shit, and he got shot in the twig and berries there. Who else we got here? We got oh yeah, and then we got Rick Masters. He's killing Jeff, the guy he hired to kill Cody in this movie there. Who else we got here? And then of course, you got Rick Masters being shot at the end, and that's got some good bloodiness to it as well. I'm probably missing somebody in this movie. And then yeah, you get the when Rick Masters and his henchmen, they're over at Jeff's place, and the guys get home and that kind of thing. And he doesn't just kill Jeff; he kills like one of his buddies there, and it shoots him right in the face, right? And this is like it's just it's disgusting. So it's not like an A Team. Remember the A Team? Somebody would get shot, or very rarely did that happen, or like like a cop show back in the '80s on TV, like I don't know, like a freaking Hunter, or Riptide or somebody like that. TJ Hooker. Someone would get shot. You wouldn't see any blood whatsoever, but Not until Live and Die in L.A., man. They're like, when somebody gets shot, you know they got shot. Especially Chance at the end when he gets basically his face blown off or something like that. I mean, you literally see a hole in his head. It's trippy. Yeah, there you go. It's out there. But yeah, that's so I miss Blood Squibs because you have like graphically violent movies now, okay, but it's all it's all CGI. It's like CGI, bullet impact. And it looks goofy and stupid. If you did come from the era of Blood Squibs, it just doesn't measure up whatsoever right there. So, but all right. Well, hey, thanks for everybody joining here tonight here. And let me just take a minute here to remind you that there is a like button here on the show. And it's going to be right on down there where you're probably used to seeing the like button on these shows. So feel free to go ahead and hit the old like button on the show if you are so inclined. And then also, if you haven't already, there's a couple of other buttons that you can click on. One is the subscribe or follow button, also down there. And then there's a notification bell button there that if you haven't already clicked on that, go ahead and click on that. And you're just going to get like one lowly email a week letting you know that there's a brand new, piping hot, fresh, delicious new episode of Movies America waiting for you there. Don't worry, you're not getting spammed, all right? You're not going to like look at your inbox and like, oh my God, fan, will you stop spamming me with all this Movies America crap? My God, you're getting in the way of me seeing all these, erectile dysfunction emails that I love to read. All right, you're basically drowning out all the Prince of Suriname emails who wants to give me $500,000 if I only send him $10,000 first. You're getting away with my favorite emails there, man. Lay off. So, but you have to worry about that because I only send you one email a week. That's it. And then also, this is directed to the folks that didn't have a chance to watch this show live. Well, and you're watching the recording of it. I should clarify. Well, we can still communicate back and forth with each other here, but we're just gonna have to do it via the comments section. No, let's say the live chat. No, that's not right. Via the comments section, which is down there as well. So get in the comments section and say hi, or just whatever. I mean, it could be as brief as hi, or it could be as extended as the Gettysburg Address or something like that. There you go, a Stephen King novel. I don't know how much they'll let you type in there, but hey, you're more than welcome to stretch the limits and find out right there. There you go. But enough about that. We need to get into some more of the To Live and Die in L.A. because I can just hear the masses crying for it. We want more To Live and Die in L.A. right now. Yeah. So let's give it to them. Let's move on. All right. And hey, I should mention here in the live chat there, just like right here, we've got, writer Albert Lanier. He got in the live chat. He provided, some great feedback about the movie right here. And so that's what I always encourage in the live chat there is, I mean, we're talking about a movie here, people. And in the live chat, that's your chance to, provide some feedback about the movie. It could either be a statement or a question or a criticism or whatever. Or if you haven't seen this movie, but you've seen a movie kind of like it or seen a movie with some of the stars in it, comment about that kind of thing. It's supposed to be kind of an open dialogue, right? This isn't a TED Talk, where I'm just sitting up here going blah, 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 blah. And you just have to sit there. No, you don't have to do it. Okay. This is supposed to be interactive. All right. So, yeah. So, if you got anything to say about To Live and Die in L.A. or any other Friedkin movies, like William Friedkin directed The Exorcist, The French Connection, Blue Chips with Nick Nolte. So, if you look up William Friedkin's filmography, it's all over the place, man. He's not one of those guys that just specializes in certain kind of movies. No, he's got some interesting movies. Well, I'll just put it that way. So, but I thought the cast was excellent in To Live and Die in L.A. I'm going to start with some of the more established folks that we know. Well, actually, really, I mean, I'm trying to think here. In this movie, there wasn't really a whole lot of established stars in this movie here, and that's obviously they're trying to keep the budget low there because I was about to say, well, Dean Stockwell, but no, they didn't really know who Dean Stockwell was back then either. He's in this movie. So yeah, I mean, we'll just start off with like the main character, William Peterson or William L. Peterson, back there or back then, playing the main character, Secret Service agent Richard Chance. And I mean, we didn't really know he was going to be a good actor as part of this cast back then, because before this movie, he had only been in one movie, and that movie was Thief, and he was in the movie for about 3 seconds. Okay, so he goes from being in a movie for 3 seconds to being the star of a movie directed by an Oscar winner. Okay, William Friedkin had won an Oscar by the time that To Live and Die in L.A. came out, and of course, most people nowadays know William Peterson from being he's as Gil Grissom on CSI. Okay, because it might trip you out if you're like, man, I love CSI. I love William Peterson and how he plays Gil Grissom. And if somebody said, hey, by the way, William Peterson had a movie career back in the '80s. There's a couple of movies you should watch: To Live and Die in L.A. and Manhunter. And then you might watch To Live and Die in L.A. and Manhunter, and be like, what? Wow, this isn't the William Peterson I know. Man, this guy's he's all morose and moody, and he's got this tortured soul and all that stuff. And then here we got Gil Grissom in CSI, and he's got really very little of that there. And so I think William L. Peterson, he finally got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but he got it for CSI. He sure as hell didn't get it for Manhunter and To Live and Die in L.A. Okay, so unfortunately, after those two movies in the '80s, yeah, he didn't really have much of a movie career after that. I mean, he had kind of a brief resurgence as the main bad guy, Pat Garrett in Young Guns 2 there, but then after that, his movie career just went way down. So, and then eventually he was like, you know what, I better start doing TV, and I guess I got to go on this and be in the show, CSI right there. Then, of course, we have the incomparable Willem Dafoe playing Rick Masters. And, back then, as hard as it is to believe, nobody really knew who Willem Dafoe was. He had not been in Platoon yet. He hadn't played, Jesus Christ in The Last Temptation of Christ yet. He hadn't been, didn't play, what's his face? Norman Osborn, Green Goblin in Spider-Man. At that point there, I'm trying to think of what else like kind of big movies he was in. But yeah, the Willem Dafoe that we all know now, like this is like maybe what his fourth or fifth movie or something like that. So in this year, I'm gonna cheat here. I'm gonna do a little IMDb here because I know he's in Streets of Fire the year before this, and then he was also in the movie The Hunger. That was the vampire movie directed by Tony Scott. Tony Scott, you might know Tony Scott. He directed a little movie called Top Gun. You may be familiar with, but a few years before he made Top Gun, he made this really moody vampire movie called The Hunger, and Willem Dafoe was in that for about 2 seconds there. So let's check out Willem Dafoe's. Let's see this here real quick. See what we got here. Let's do this, and we'll do this once you join in the fun. There we go. Willem Dafoe. So look at that filmography of his. My God. Like, little did anybody know when Willem Dafoe, when he was in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So yeah, there you go. I'm reading that right there. To Live and Die in L.A., how much how extensive his movie career would be after that. So let's see here. Let's go here. So Streets of Fire. So he was in Heaven's Gate. Okay. Oh my God. Poor Willem Dafoe was in Heaven's Gate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, he's in 7 movies. Before To Live and Die in L.A., there's The Hunger right there. So him and John Pankow, who plays Vukovich. John Pankow and Willem Dafoe were both in The Hunger. They were both in a scene together. And so To Live and Die in L.A. was the second time that they had worked together right there. So, yeah, and then, of course, there's good old Platoon. That's when he really hit it big. But To Live and Die, a lot of people say To Live and Die in L.A., that was the movie where casting directors started going, "Whoa, who is this Willem Dafoe guy, man? This is something else." So this guy is, and this guy is like formidable and threatening, and he's devious, right? He's he kind of had that mean streak about him. At least with his character, um, Rick Masters in To Live and Die in L.A. And Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's had interviews, in years, after To Live and Die in L.A. And he tells a story about how when he used to walk around New York after he had been in To Live and Die in L.A. People would see him. He'd be in a bar and someone would sit next to him at a bar, and they'd be like, "Man, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you, man. Oh my god, like it's amazing. You're Rick Masters from To Live and Die in L. I mean, I know you're Willem Dafoe, but man, you were so scary as Rick Masters in To Live and Die in L.A." And so he says, like, yeah, a lot of people still know him as Rick Masters out of all of his movie roles. I mean, Norman Osborn and what's his face, Elias from Platoon, and all these other characters that he plays there. So absolutely. All right, here. So, and we got here, and was the Heaven's Gate movie before the cult incident? Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it was before that. So Heaven's Gate, that came out in 1980, and so it was directed by this guy named Michael Cimino. And Michael Cimino, he had a hit a few years before this called The Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken, and was Jane Fonda in that? I can't remember Jane Fonda was in that, but anyway, it was like a Vietnam movie there, and it was critically acclaimed, and so and then so he got a lot of acclaim for that movie. A lot of people kissing his ass and blowing sunshine up his ass, and so Michael Cimino, he started getting a big head, and he was like, all right, I want to make this big old Western movie that I've always wanted to make here, and you know what, you got to give me as much money as I want to make it, and I'm going to build these big old sets. And these sets are going to cost for a bunch of money. And I'm going to go and I'm going to film this movie in a bunch of locations where it's prone to terrible weather. So there's probably going to be a shitload of delays, and I'm just going to make every scene. Every scene is going to be like an hour long. I mean, and when you watch Heaven's Gate, which is it's a terrible movie, but it's also a fascinating movie when you watch it, because you could tell there's a lot of money that went into this, especially when they get to the town in Montana, wherever they're at, and you get the town of Montana, and you're like, oh my god, they actually built the actual whole town. This is like amazing when you see it. But then the rest of the movie is like just excess, just straight up like overblown excess, and it's known as one of the biggest movie flops of all time. United Artists, the distributor of Heaven's Gate, just took a big fat kick right to the nutsack from this movie. It stars like Chris Christopherson and John Hurt, and there's a lot of who's of people that are in it. They're like, oh hell, there's Jeff Bridges is in this movie here, and there's who else is in that movie? There's Caroline Cava, that's a bad example. People don't know Caroline Cava. She's most known. She played Tom Cruise's mother in Born on the 4th of July. So I don't know why I named her. Nobody knows who the hell she is. But yeah. So that 2-hour answer to your question there, Mr. Scott Austin, was Heaven's Gate movie before the cold incident? Yes, it was right there. If you want early internet nostalgia, check out the Heaven's Gate website, run by the 2 cult members left behind. It got that early internet format still going on. All right, gotcha. So if I go to Netscape and look for it, Netscape there, or if I throw my America Online CD in with my 24,000 free hours of internet, I can look up this Heaven's Gate website and check that out there. So very cool, very cool. So, but yeah, we're talking about Willem Dafoe and To Live and Die in L.A. But yeah, he is he's evil. He's cold blooded in this movie. Oh yeah, beer for the working man right here. But yeah, I mean he's got this quiet cool about him, but also if you jack with him, man, he'll murder you in a microsecond. Okay, he just doesn't care here. But yeah, and he's one of like the most gritty kind of formidable bad guys that I remember in movie history right there. So, and of course, got John Pankow in this, and he's never really done much, like even after this movie here. I mean, he was in his biggest claim to fame after this movie was he played Paul Reiser's brother in the NBC series Mad About You with Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt, and then John Pankow played his brother. Didn't really do much after this movie whatsoever. You've got Dean Stockwell in this, who he does a pretty good job. He plays Grimes. He plays Rick Masters, a lawyer in this, and I also know him. Of course, a lot of people know him from Quantum Leap. Where he was the sidekick to Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap. Then later on, he was in Air Force One with Harrison Ford. He was in Dune, the year the 1984 Dune, back the year before To Live and Die in L.A. and a number of other movies as well. So Darlanne Fluegel, she plays Ruth. She plays the snitch, that Richard Chance goes to, the snitch that basically he's sleeping with, right? And treats like crap. That's probably why she sleeps with him, because he treats her like crap. Some women like that. And she was in Once Upon a Time in America. I think a couple of years before this, or a year before this. Then she played Billy Crystal's love interest in Running Scared. I remember Running Scared, the buddy cop movie that came out in '86 with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, and Darlanne Fluegel was in that movie there. I'm sure she's obviously been in other stuff as well. But yeah, she's got a kind of a vulnerability in this movie that's kind of magnetic, that's for sure. So got Steve James. Steve James in this movie. He plays Jeff. He's the guy that you've got Rick Masters going to put the hit out on Cody there. And Steve James is mostly known for action movies there, like martial arts movies, all that kind of stuff right there. Can't leave out John Turturro. John Turturro in a very early role there before John Turturro was the John Turturro that we know today. I mean, if you want to see John Turturro presently, you just watch the movie or the TV series, Severance on Apple. But way before he was in Severance, he was in To Live and Die in L.A. back in 1985 there. And that's before he, even got involved with Spike Lee. He was doing a bunch of Spike Lee movies there. So, like Do the Right Thing and Barton Fink there. Well, Barton Fink was a Coen Brothers movie. Never mind. So great cast. I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Oh, of course, there's Robert Downey Sr., the father of Robert Downey Jr. So yeah, who else we got on here? So I want to think anybody else that's significant that people would know in this movie here. Well, you got what's her face, Jane. What's that? What's her name? She was in Frasier. She played like the sassy British, I guess live-in nurse in Frasier. There, what's her Jane something here? Let's see here. What is her name? What is her name? I'm gonna cheat here. Check this out. There we go. I'll see her name and I'll be like, "Oh, you idiot! How did you forget her name? What the hell?" Let's see. Jane Leaves. Yeah. So yeah, Jane Leaves. Yep. So Jane Leaves. Yeah. Again, she was the house nurse in Frasier, taking care of Frasier's dad there, and she has a brief part in this. I'm looking through like the cast list, seeing if anybody else is in here. We're like, oh yeah, they have a brief role in this movie, but this is before anybody knew who they were. But people know them now. Well, here's one. We got Dwyer Brown. So Dwyer Brown plays a doctor in this very briefly, and basically where he comes into the movie is after Cody ambushes Chance, like kicks Chance's ass, and then Cody escapes, and then Chance is sitting there in the doctor's office, and the prison doctor, or I guess the doctor at the hospital is uh, reading off like, yes, this this patient that he wanted you to come see, yeah, she's not actually his daughter. She's like a 78-year-old black woman in here for surgery and that kind of thing. Well, the doctor that was reading the chart off or reading that information off to was played by Dwyer Brown. And Dwyer Brown, most people know him. He played Kevin Costner's dad at the end of Field of Dreams. Okay, so the whole you want to have a catch, Dad? Well, Kevin Costner's dad in that scene was played by Dwyer Brown. There was John Kinsella was his character's name in that. So it's kind of fascinating, at least to a movie maniac, a fellow freedom fueled film fanatic like me. Kind of just seeing these actors that we know so well now. Dwyer Brown's not a good example of that, but actors that we know now, and they had this bit little part in this movie way back in the 80s and 90s and all of that stuff right there. So, but yeah, I think that's enough about the cast of To Live and Die in L.A. So, I mean, there's I'm talking that to death right there, but To Live and Die in L.A. is that's just one of the many reasons to watch this movie. Is just so you can watch this movie and go, look, honey, look. Look who's in this movie. Oh my God. He looks so young. Oh my God. He's old now, but look, he looks so young. Okay, so Giancarlo Esposito, he's another good example of that. Giancarlo Esposito, who plays, Gus Fring, I should say, in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like, he's in a lot of 80s movies. Like, oh my God, he's so young. Like, just watch Trading Places, obviously with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, and in a scene where Eddie Murphy's in jail, there you'll see a very, very young Gus Fring in jail with him here, Giancarlo Esposito back then. So, but that's another reason it's cool to watch 80s movies, is just to get looked at like, why does that guy look familiar right there? And you find out, oh, that actor, that's back when he was 24 years old, and now he's like in your favorite HBO show when he's like 67 years old, right? So all that good stuff right there. So, all right, let's check something out here over here. Trying to keep everything else in. Good morning, Van, now from Channel 2 Action News, right there. So, yeah, what are you in? Are you in New Zealand right now? There, Channel 2 Action News, right there. Are you hanging out with hobbits in New Zealand, or are you in Hong Kong? There, saying good morning, Van. Or are you insinuating like I'm a rock star? I'm like some 80s metal band member there, and I don't wake up until like 6 o'clock at night. That's my morning. There you go. But good to see you. Good to see you, Channel 2 Action News joining the show. And To Live and Die in L.A., that's not a movie that you're going to watch and you're going to see the parts of L.A. that it features in there and go, you know what, man, honey, it's been too long since we've been out to L.A. We should go check out L.A. L.A. looks so good in this movie over here. It looks so good, so scenic, so beautiful, so pristine. Like, nah, To Live and Die in L.A., it just shows you the grimy, just nasty, nasty parts of LA. There's no scenes in Beverly Hills or Malibu in To Live and Die in LA. It's not anything like that. Now, I don't know. We're in 2026 right now. If they remade To Live and Die in LA or they made a sequel to it, they would not have to hunt high, that hard for some grimy parts of LA. I'm sure there's parts now in LA that back in 1985, look like heaven, right? It look like Shangri-La. And now, if you look at it, it's just crawling with homeless people all over the streets and that kind of thing. So I know I've gone out to LA a couple times, and I swear to God, and this is last time I was out there was 2018, and you could just it's just homeless people everywhere, and it's just just gets annoying. And you're like, man, this is a classic city in here, one of the touchstone cities of America here, and it's just amazing just what a shit show the government there in that town is right there. So, but yeah, a lot of grimy parts to of LA in this movie. Like you see San Pedro a lot in this movie, like the scenes where Chance is going over to his snitch slash lovers house there, and you see like all the ships and all the shipping containers and the container loaders and all that off in the background there up, and that's San Pedro Harbor right there, obviously, because it's San Pedro, right? And that's one of the cruddier parts of LA there. San Pedro was also featured in Lethal Weapon 2. Remember the part, diplomatic community, and they're what's his face? I'm trying to think of Martin Riggs. Yeah, Martin Riggs is fighting off the bad racist South Africaners. Was that South Africans? There you go, South Africans. On the ship, and all that stuff. That's San Pedro as well, right there. So that's again, yeah, not one of the nicer parts of LA. There, I'm surprised they didn't do some filming in Van Nuys. Another quality part of that movie there. You could do City of Industry. Ooh, that's another crappy part of LA as well. So, but yeah, so but that it lends itself very well to the movie because this movie is trying to be rough around the edges, and gritty and brutal, and so it'd be a little disconcerting if you started, showing, Beverly Hills and Malibu and all that stuff. I mean, you have a couple of nice scenes with nice places in this movie. Nice, nice areas of LA, like when Vukovich first visits Chance at his house. And it's that scene where like, how much money does Richard Chance makes? Because apparently he has a house in Malibu right on the damn beach. Like, you're not affording that on a cop salary, or a Secret Service agent salary. Okay, we're like, how the hell does he afford that house? I mean, and it makes me wonder, what else does Richard Chance get up to in this? Is he whatever he's doing? So that's a nice scene showing a good part of LA. Well, that is until the wildfires back a little over a year ago in LA burnt a lot of that stuff in Malibu down, because it looks like he lives in a beach house on the beach, and obviously right behind, if you've ever been to LA and the house is on the beach in Malibu, right behind his house would be the PCH, or the Pacific Coast Highway, and a lot of houses and businesses on the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway, or PCH, where Richard Chance's house would have been. They burnt to the ground thanks to that wildfire, one of many, but that wildfire a little over a year ago, and all that stuff right there. So, and then of course, when you go to Rick Masters, he's got a mansion or something like that. It's a pretty nice mansion. That's obviously someplace nice, a nice part of LA, like Beverly Hills or Calabasas or something like that. So, all right. So, enough about that right there. And I can feel even myself getting bored talking about the LA scenery and all of that stuff right there. But and again, hey, the live chat, man, let me know anything about this movie, To Live and Die in L.A., or like he can let me know something like, basically, what's your favorite cop movie? Are you a Lethal Weapon fan? Are you a Chuck Norris and Code of Silence fan? Trying to think of any other cop movies that were out there. There was a whole bunch of them, right? Throw something obscure out there. Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay, where she plays a cop in that one there. So yeah, if you want to let me know in the live chat, like what's your favorite cop movie there? But for right now, let's do this here real quick, and let me while I cue this up here. Gotta get all my ducks in a row here. Quack. All right, I'm gonna do this this very thirst quenching segment here that I like to do here, and a lot of people like to see, because it makes them thirsty, and it does the exact same thing to me. And that is the brew review time. All right, let's say hello to the beer for today. And that is the Hofbrau Delicator, however you want to say that there. And this is a German Doppelbock or double bock here. And it's brewed in Munich, Germany. And it's known as a winter warmer. And this is a beer you would consider dark and rich and full bodied right there. And it's actually brewed to be released seasonally in like the cold months. So that's why they call it the winter warmer, because yeah, when you drink this thing, it warms you up because it does have for a beer, it has a high alcohol content to it, and it's got some heft to this thing. So, and it's gonna, it's gonna warm your cockles, that's for sure. And it's brewed with the type of malts that it's brewed with is light barley, Munich, and caramel. And then the hops that they use to brew this is Hercules, Perlay, and then other selected varieties of hops. I guess they want to keep the true recipe, the actual recipe, on the down low, right? And the flavor, it's well, here, let's do this. So definitely a chocolate in there. Uh, it's got like a kind of a like a raisin prune, but very, very, very subtle raisin prune flavor. And I say that because I hate raisins and I hate prunes. So if it was anything but subtle, I'd be spitting this thing back up. But you can tell it's a little bit in there. It's very subtle. So they need to put in just the right amount, which is not too much there. So dried berries. So kind of like maybe like dried cherries, that kind of thing in it. All that to say is I'm a fan. I do like this Hofbrau Delicator. Now, that description I just gave you might be making other beer drinkers gag. Okay. But you really owe it to yourself to like just, at least take a sip off this thing. And then you'd be like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, this is pretty damn good. Yeah, Van does a terrible job at describing it, but you know what? Hey, the beer sells itself there as it's going down my gullet right there. So, but and then again, it's rich, but it's delicate. It's not when you drink it. It's rich, but it's not gonna feel like somebody just surgically inserted a Buick Skylark into your stomach, and you're like, oh, weighed down, and oh god, I can barely walk. Oh my god, this beer is so heavy there. Okay, so as far as like what beers it pairs with, there is a beer burp that wasn't very cool. Um, Pairs well with like roasts and venison, uh, hearty meat and vegetable hot pots. Also pairs well with like very rich desserts there. So since it's from Germany, hey, if you happen to have like a German chocolate cake on hand, you could probably do a whole lot worse than drinking this Hofbrau Delicator with a big thick German chocolate cake right there. So now, like I said before, it's got a high alcohol content in it. So for a beer, I should say, I always need to qualify with that. But the alcohol by volume on this is 8.4%. Okay, so now definitely not the highest alcohol by volume beer I've ever reviewed on here, but definitely not the lowest here. So, but all right, enough of me yapping about this beer. It's time to take another drink. So here we go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, but yeah, get your hands on some Hofbrau Delicator. You can probably get it if you go to an app on your phone like Open Bar, the Open Bar app there, or you can go to like gopuff.com, or if you happen to have this in your area. I mean, Uber Eats will deliver it to you. They don't just deliver grub; they'll deliver booze uh, to your house. I mean, in America, great. Isn't it awesome? Well, that's one of the good aspects of America. Okay, there you go. But yeah, so hopefully you guys can get your hands on some of that brew right there. But with that being said, that has been Brew Review Time. All right, here we go. Hey, good morning, everybody, as Channel 2 Action News would say. I'd love to hear that from him. If you'd be like, yeah, actually, Van, I am. I'm sitting in a bar in Hong Kong right now. Now I don't even know it's morning in Hong Kong right now. Who knows? I'm going off my experience of being born I'm being stationed in Japan. So yeah, clearly I was not born in Japan. So yeah, so I remember like when I was stationed in Japan, when the Super Bowl would come on over here. So back in those times, the Super Bowl came on like at what 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central around that time. There now it comes on a little earlier, but back then it was like 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. But in Japan, it came on at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so, on Monday morning. So when everybody over in America's, eating chicken wings and little smokies and eating nachos, we had Super Bowl breakfast parties. So we had omelets and pancakes and waffles and French toast and but we definitely still had the big booze going on right there. So that's my little time zone adjuster and all that stuff, time of day. That's how I gauge what time it is around the world. Right there, my time being stationed in Japan. So apparently, I'm getting all emotional and choked up about it. So, all right, let me share. Oh, yes, something here that I think that you are going to appreciate me showing you here, and that's because I just don't want to hog it all for myself. All right, I'm trying not to be stingy. Pardon me. See, there you guys just drink too much. Drink some beer, and the beer burps just to keep coming. All right, here we go. Glad that came up on its own. So I got the Movies America store right here that I wanted to show you here. So that way, that if you wanted to grab yourself something like a Movies America hat, there. Disclaimer: there's no purple on that hat. I know. I'm just as disappointed as you on that. But everything else is with the way that it looks in the picture here. We got drinkware, accessories. So you'll see down here. We'll get a little bit more specific with the products we have available right here. But we have T-shirts here. This is like one of the Movies America logos here, but that's not the only Movies America logo. That's the big mugs logo. But we got hoodies and baseball shirts and wife beaters right here. If you like to follow up your viewing of the Movies America show, a little wife beating, you could do a worse than that Movies America wife beater right there. Got sports bras, got more hats there. Now we got the Hollyweird Movies America type logo with again t-shirts and hoodies and all that stuff. And then we're getting down to my personal favorite Movies America logo type. It's the Black Adam type Movies America logo. But you might be saying, hey, Van, I got all the shirts, tank tops, whatever that I need. All right. And I am in no shape for a sports bra. But I am kind of thirsty. I do like to drink. Let's just be frank there, Van. I'm a raging alcoholic. And I like to have a good pint glass to drink out of, or a big mugs can-shaped glass right there. So we got all that stuff down there too. So yeah, just go ahead and peruse through the website there. Check that out, and it's very easy to get to this website. So down in the description, there is a link to the merch store right down in the description there, everybody. So there you go. All right, so let's just shut that on down there. I think I've belabored that point, as I'm hoping my computer isn't locking up here. That would be terrible. Can't have that. All right, so let's do this here and get our ducks in a row and get everything going on here, because definitely don't want to miss out on anything there. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. We are going to move on. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of To Live and Die in L.A., one of my favorite scenes is, of course, the airport chase scene. So that's when they're trying to grab Cody, played by John Turturro, because Cody works with Rick Masters, the main bad guy they're after. And so, they go to the LA airport, or LAX, and they know they're going to find Cody there trying to get out of town for something. And you got so John Turturro pays with some funny money. It's a funny thing about the scene is he's like, oh yeah, I'll need one ticket to I don't know, Seattle or something like that. Like, oh, okay, that'll be $45. And I'm like, $45 for a plane ticket? What? It's like, yeah, this was definitely 1985. All right, this is not 2026. That's for sure. And yeah, that as well. You see the airport, like, yeah, there's no T or like what is the no airport security, nothing like that. So no taking off of your shoes and putting all your stuff in a bin, or no TSA is what I was trying to think of there. So it's definitely way before 9/11 here. But yeah, so it's an airport chase scene, one of my favorite parts of the movie right there. And there's something that that William Friedkin and William L. Peterson or Bill Peterson or Billy Peterson did while filming this airport chase that was very, very naughty. Okay. And this just tells that story.
Federal agents, excuse me. Ma'am, I'd like to see the bills that man just handed you, please.
U.S. Secret Service.
The airport sequence was shot in the Bradley at the international airport. Billy Peterson wanted to get through the crowd, so the best way for him to do is to jump on the tram things that run both ways. And that's what you're not supposed to do.
Billy comes over to me and he goes, the airport officials are here. They've told us that you can't do that. In fact, they're going to throw us out of here if we try to do that. And I said, Billy, that's great. We got to do that. It's great. He goes, yeah, I agree. So, I'm going to say we're rehearsing, but I'm going to have Robbie and the other guy roll footage on this. And if it just so happens that you forget and jump up there anyway, well, what can we say? Then, of course, they were all down on us. They were screaming and yelling. Billy's like, well, he did it. I didn't tell him to do it. I told him not to do it. Why did you do that? And again, that's what was great about working with Billy, because it was all about getting what you got to get.
I like that. That's just kind of behind the scenes story right there. Just kind of getting just the true skinny behind what went down as they're filming that there. So it's but that of course was William Peterson telling that story there, and of course he looks more in that in that scene right there during that, he looks more like Gil Grissom on CSI than he does Richard Chance on To Live and Die in L.A. So I think that's pretty cool that they're like, you know what, yeah, we were specifically told not to run on the top of that tram right there, but you know what, screw it. We're doing it. We don't care. Right? It's gonna look cool on in this movie right there. It'd be stupid to do that. It's kind of like like I think there's a John Wick movie, where you have John Wick and he's sliding right down the middle, of these escalators there. So, and I think like nowadays, if you see the middle part of the escalators, they have like those little risers, that sit on top. They look kind of like Legos or something that sit on there. I'm assuming they put those on there so people don't slide down those anymore. I mean, you can try to slide, but you're not going to get very far, and you're going to basically get your nuts crunched if you do try to do that. But back in the glorious '80s, before they had those things on there, you just like whee right on down those things like you're on a sled going down a snowy hill here. And so it's kind of cool to see that part of the movie magic. The movie, what those airport officials definitely would not call movie magic. They'd be like, that's a movie annoyance. We told them not to walk on top of that, and they didn't agree with us. What a bunch of babies. And it's a cool moment for the movie. It looks cool. Okay, there you go. There's a lot of things in movies that they do that aren't necessarily realistic, but they just look cool, right? So there you go. And that's what it's all about, is looking cool, right? Yeah, there you go. Okay, let me do this here. I'm going to take another drinky off my beer. And hey, again, whatever you guys are drinking, man, hell, toss them back. All right, so, and hey, the length of this show here tonight, there, how long we keep going and talk about To Live and Die in L.A. To Live and Die in L.A. is completely, hinged on how much I hear from the live chat there. about this movie here. So, because that's why I do this show. Is I know that there's some other movie maniacs out there. I know that there's freedom-fueled film fanatics like this guy right here that like to talk a little too much about. Let me back up. Let's be honest. Way too much about movies, and they just want an outlet to talk about movies, even like old classic movies like this right here. So that's what this show does. It gives people like me and others out there that I know are out there a chance to get on this show and just talk ad nauseum about the movie that I'm going over in each episode right there. And that's what the live chat for, is to get in the live chat and see if you could out movie nerd me over here with talk of movies and all of that stuff. So I know, like, it's kind of a dark time for movies right now because, I'm thinking people tend to think that movie theaters are going to go the way of the velociraptor, right? The way of the dinosaur. And I tend to agree, unfortunately, right there. And so right now we live in a time where video games get all the love and movies are like the redheaded stepchild, oh, video games, come right on in here, sit down here. Would you like some scones? Would you like some coffee? Oh, there you. Hey, honey, let's get video games over here. Whatever you want. So get over here. Get over here and oh, okay, video games. I see you brought your friend movies over there. Yeah, come on in, movies. Just whatever. Just. I'd rather just see you. I don't want to hear from you, movies. Okay, just get away. All right, there you go, bud. But video games, man. How you doing? How you been, man? How you been, video games? Oh, I love it. Hey, how's the missus? Pretty good. The kids doing all right. Hey, video games. Remember we went on that ski trip last night? So that's kind of where we're at with movies. As opposed to video games and that kind of thing nowadays and all this stuff. But I don't care. I'm gonna keep talking about movies. All the live long day. There we go. All right. And yeah, like that right there, Mr. Scott Awesome, right there, getting good and patriotic. I like that right there. That's America right there. America. I love it. There we go. Love that. Here we love movies here in America. That's for sure. So we got a lot of shit movies nowadays, but we have some pretty good ones. But I just saw like Send Help not too long ago. Send Help's a good new movie. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. It's pretty good. This weekend, I'll tell you later on like what movie I'm going to be reviewing for next week. Obviously, this week is To Live and Die in L.A., but I'll tell you like later on in the show what movie I'm going to be going over next week. But my God, this weekend, this movie is chock full of potential great movies here. So this weekend is a great example of how they do make good movies nowadays. Well, I mean, I haven't seen them yet, so I guess it's kind of premature for me to say that. But unfortunately, but fortunately, I've seen a lot of the early reviews of these movies here that are coming out this weekend, and like, there's 3 big ones that are coming out this weekend, and the reviews for them are just fucking through the friggin' roof there. So, but I'll let you know later on what movie I'm going to be going over all of next week on Movies America. There we go. All right, let's get to this here. Let's get to my favorite segment of any Movies America episode that I do right here. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be hilarious. Well, I don't know about hilarious, but it's going to be very entertaining right here because the segment I, of course, refer to is the movie military moments, okay? And in the movie military moment, it's, to boil it down, what it is it's my opportunity I give myself to pay tribute to a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, okay? And that's just because I'm ex-military myself. I consider myself very patriotic, unapologetically. And so it just wouldn't feel right to do a show here that's in the public sphere that is hosted by moi and not do something that pays tribute to the military, right? And so I just came up with this movie military moment here. Man, I need to get something to drink. Excuse me here. Obviously, you can tell me I'm over here clearing my throat left and right. So, all right, there we go. All right. So you guys might be asking right now, if you haven't watched the show before, whether you're watching the show live or the recording of it, Hey, Van, that's awesome. That's great. I'm glad that you're paying tribute to a military hero, but son, what the hell does that have to do with movies, man? And so, you know what? I owe you an explanation on that. I will explain that. That is a worthy question that you ask right there. But I'll answer that. I'll explain that after this. Okay, so I owe you an explanation, everybody. And so the movie military moment, what that has to do with movies is, as you would imagine, if you are a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, you got it for doing something that is just something that would make everyone's eyes pop out of their head. All right, you got it for something that would just move people, that would be this profound thing that they're seeing, whether they're seeing it after the fact or they're there in person, like they're there in the rice paddy with you during Vietnam, or they're there in the Huey chopper with you as you as a helicopter pilot are doing amazing things, or they're there in Fallujah, in Iraq, watching you, kick Iraqi ass and take names, right? And so if you saw something like this, where like we'll take Fallujah for example, and you're in there, you're going door to door, and you're taking out insurgents, all right? You're blowing them away, and you're sending them to their 72 virgins, all right? And you're just doing all this amazing heroic stuff, and someone was there to see it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe what Master Chief is doing over here. I can't believe what the Lance Corporal is doing over there." And even if you saw this all going down, like reenacted in movie form on a big movie screen in front of you, it would be a very cool movie military moment. And that's the connection right there, okay? And without further delay, let's not keep our honoree waiting here tonight, shall we? Okay. And that our honoree for tonight is one Chief Edward C. Byers Jr., who fought in Afghanistan, and that's where he did what he did to become a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And we're going to learn more about what he did here shortly. But I think that the Chief does deserve some honorary, some sweet movie military moment music, don't you? Yeah, I think so. So let's take care of that right now. This is the movie military moment. And in this movie military moment, we will pay homage, we will pay tribute to Chief Edward C. Byers Jr. fought the T1 global war on terrorism, specifically in Afghanistan, number of the ABC. And so let's find out more about Chief Byers Jr., shall we? Conspicuous Palestinian Christmas light of the Call of Duty of Operation during Freedom for 2012. As the rescue force approached converted buildings, the enemy's sentry detected guarded inside to alert his fellow captors. The sentry quickly re-emerged, and the lead assaulter attempted to neutralize him. These fires to this point directed the floor of the target building. As a primary breacher, the fire stood in the doorway fully exposed to enemy fire while ripping down flares of heavy blankets past the inside ceiling and walls to clear a path for the rescue force. The first assaulter pushed his way through the blankets and was mortally wounded. The enemy's small arms fire from within. These fires were fully aware of the imminent threat, fearlessly walked across the room and engaged the enemy guard, aiming and aiming at him. He then tackled another adult male who had darted toward the corner of the room. During the ensuing hand-to-hand struggle, he fires toward the man who's not awesome and engages him. As another rescue team members called out to the hospital. He fires her voice on an English right toward it. He comes up to the top of America and shielded high volume of fire with smoke. While covering the hospital's body, he fires and mobilizes another guard with bare hands and restrained the guard until a teammate just pummeled and sliced back to the other fire to save the lives of the hostage and several other teammates. By his undone courage, fighting spirit, and unwavering devotion to duty in the face of Peterson, Chief Officer Myers reflected great credit on himself and upheld the highest tradition of the United States naval service. And we salute you, Chief Myers Jr. And that has been this movie, Military Moment. All right, so that was fantastic, and man, it just motivates you, doesn't it? Just motivates you, like, that you might be sitting your ass on the couch, just eating your Fritos and watching TV, and you hear a story like this from this Chief Myers Jr. I mean, all he did was bust through a wall. Had to go through a whole a layer of blankets on the wall. And then it wasn't exactly a situation where you just pop into your head and go, "Hey, bad guys, how you doing? Is everything all right in here?" No, they're firing at anybody coming through the wall, and he just rushes right through there while his, right after his buddy gets mortally wounded. He just rushes right in there to kick some ass and take some names, all right? To kick some ass and chew some bubble gum, and he's fresh out of bubble gum. All right, so does that motivate you to, like, maybe get off your ass and put the Fritos down and go do something? I know it does for me right there. Let's see here. Let's check one thing here. Where we go. And Mr. Scott also was music volume a little high. A little high. All right, well, there you go. I'll take that under advisement right there. So, I've noticed that I wonder if it's a little high because I know it's Rumble Studio. It'll play the volume of the music file that you load, but also it doesn't mute me. So you might be hearing the music from the actual audio track, and then like the music coming through my speakers, my external speakers coming through here. So, but I wonder. Okay, but yeah, that's not the first time that I've had to, adjust the volume on that music file right there. Like at one point, people were telling me it was too low. People were telling me it's too high. I'm kind of like Goldilocks. I'm trying to find that perfect volume right there for that. So, but yeah, thanks for the input on that, Mr. Scott. Awesome there. And Channel 2 Action News getting in on the patriotism right there. Feeling that American spirit. All right. I'll drink to that, boys. Excellent. Oh, yeah. There we go. Love it. Love it. All right. So, but yeah, so that's the movie Military Moment. And yeah, if you guys ever want to check out these, the stories of these guys that were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honors, because there are a lot of them, okay? But if you want to like read their citations and maybe give yourself, some daily motivation, to get up and at them and get some shit done, then yeah, you go to the website of cmohs.org/recipients. Again, that's cmohs.org/recipients right there, and check their stories out right there. It's very, very motivational, very inspiring. All right. So love that all the time. And that has been the movie Military Moment. All right, everybody. All right, let's do this here. And I'm just going to take a minute here real quick just to remind you that if you guys are appreciating anything I'm doing here during this episode or other episodes, like, say, the movie Military Moment, so you appreciate that, or you appreciate me giving everyone the opportunity to have an in-depth discussion about this movie and that movie and all that stuff. Appreciate that enough to give me $1 or $2 or whatever. Well, I'm going to just tell you real quick how you can do that on Rumble or YouTube. Okay. So you can go on Rumble in the live chat window And down by typing your live chat message there, you can go ahead and just click on the button with a dollar bill on there, and it will just bring up another little window asking you how much you want to give to this guy right here, and that's it. Very simple, very easy. All right, and then if you're on YouTube, it's uncanny how similar the process is on YouTube, as opposed to on Rumble there. And so same deal in YouTube in the live chat window down by where you type in your live chat message there. You just got to click on the button with a dollar bill on it, and it'll pop up another window, and it'll just ask you how much you want to donate, and that's it. Very simple, very easy. All right, so simple as a pimple, as they say right there. And I see my man, Mr. Scott Awesome, has taken up the call. Okay, and he is throwing a $2 donation to me, and you know what? I'm touched, dude. I'm touched, brother. Thank you very much, right there. That's the American way, right there. Absolutely. So, is anybody going to answer the call as well, like Mr. Scott Awesome? Okay, he's laid the $2 gauntlet down there, and he is the head ass kicker in the live chat right now. That is very, very cool. So, I drink to that, there, Mr. Scott Awesome. Thank you for the $2. There we go. Sorry, $2. There we go. All right. Barely after that Bad Bunny show the other night. I guess we're switching the American main language to Spanish now. So there you go. So mucho bado. There you go. I don't like that. I love it. All right. So to let you know, it's time to let you know what movie I will be reviewing next week. And I didn't have a hard time deciding because we got a number of good movies coming out this week, or supposedly good movies. I'll be the judge of that right there, but the reviews are pretty damn good. So we've got like Crime 101 with Chris Hemsworth and Halle Berry and the luscious Monica Barbaro. Oh God, man, there's a soft spot in my heart for her. You may know her as Phoenix from Top Gun Maverick. So Monica Barbaro. But anyway, so she is in that movie. We've got Wuthering Heights with Margot Robbie, Jacob Elordi. And then we have the movie that I will be reviewing next week, and that is Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Okay. One of the best movie titles I've heard in a long time, all right? Good luck, have fun, don't die. All right. And it does kind of look like a variation of, the Everything Everywhere All at Once that came out a few years ago. I hope it's better than that movie. So many people just blew so much sunshine up the ass of that movie, and I saw it. I'm like, why is everyone sucking off this movie so hard? Like, what is it? What? This movie's not that good. What? They got hot dog fingers. What? What? And a lot of that movie bored me to tears. So hopefully, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. That looks like it kind of has that same crazy vibe. Is better than Everything Everywhere All at Once right there. But so I'll be reviewing Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die on Sunday afternoon on my Movies America live show. Spoiler free reviewing, and I should be more specific there. And that comes on Sunday afternoon. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific this Sunday right there. Okay, so no Super Bowl this Sunday. That was last week, okay? So the BLM Football League is over with for the year. So no excuse. There you go. And even though during the BLM Football League season, though, what I always ask people to do is, and for their own sake too, is just pause the game and then watch my show for like 20 minutes, okay? And then that way, later on, after you're done watching my show, you can just fast forward through all the commercials through the old BLM, whatever BLM Football League game that you're watching right there. But you don't have to worry about that. It's there. And also, I ask, if you can't watch it actively, hey, just at least put it on in the background. You can listen to it passively, or if you're even so busy that even do that, turn it on but mute it. Like a lot of times, like with other shows, like Sean Cav. Sean Cav rated our stream earlier tonight there, and he's got his own content. And what I'll do is I'll fire up his show, and then if I can't pay attention to it here, I'll still have it like on in the background on some laptop in some back room or on my phone in my kitchen while I'm doing other stuff and that kind of thing. And he still gets credit for the watch minutes. I make sure to like his episode and all that stuff. And so you can do stuff like that if you can't actively watch the show. Just have it playing in the background, or have it playing in the background and have it muted if you want. But hey, you know what? Like the episode though. Go ahead and like the episode, because that doesn't take very long. It takes like 0.003 seconds, and it doesn't cost you anything to like the episode. So there you go. And then of course, a week from tonight on Movies America, spoiler warning, the very show you're watching right now, it'll be all about good luck, have fun, don't die, but in a spoilery fashion. All right, I'm not going to worry if I spoil it or not there. Okay, but yeah, good luck, have fun, don't die. It's got Sam Rockwell in it, and I think he's pretty much like the biggest star in it there. So we'll see how this movie is and go from there. Hopefully, it doesn't make me regret seeing it and make me wish I went and saw like Crime 101 there instead. So, but anyway, enough about that. But yeah, and this is the part where I kind of semi-beg here in asking if you would follow me on the platforms that I'm on. I'm on X under @MoviesAmerica. I'm on Facebook. I have a Movies America face. I have a Movies America Facebook page, Facebook group. That I just have my Van Ebert page on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Gab. I'm on Rumble. Obviously, if you're watching me on Rumble, you're like, duh. But yeah, on Rumble, there's like 3 Movies America accounts on Rumble. So yeah, if you would just subscribe or follow to all 3 of them, that would be fantastic. Okay, and yeah, so check those outlets out and follow me there if you would. And hey, just so you get something out of it, and it's not just me hogging all this stuff, and you don't get anything out of the deal. Well, you can just direct message me underneath my X account @MoviesAmerica, and just let me know, hey Van, I followed you on this platform and that platform and that platform and that platform, and let me know what your username is or whatever, and then I will follow you back on those very same platforms right there if you're on those platforms. Okay, and anyway, so I'll do that just because I want to do you a solid, because you did me a solid right there. Okay, but all right, we're getting ready to wrap up this episode, everybody. But just again, I want to thank everybody for watching this episode, whether you're watching it live or watching the recording of it there. So again, for you guys just watching the recording of it, hey, feel free to get in the comments section below. And that goes for the people that are watching live too. You can get in the comments section after the episode is over with there. And yeah, you can comment about whatever you want down there. Okay, you can put you can flip me off down there. You can put a big poop emoji in there. Or you could put in a love poem to me. I like those. There you go. Unless it's some dude. Hey guys, the sign over my ass says "Do not enter." Just letting you guys know that before you before you dudes go to the trouble of putting a love poem in the comments right there. So, but anyway, so as I always say here, as I look over here and I'm trying to get my ducks in a row there, I kind of like crap the bed on that one. There we go. So as I always say, get out there, people. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. See ya. Howdy, my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics. Would you do me a favor and check me out at solo.to/moviesmerica? That's where you would go for a one-stop shop for all the links that have to do with me, Movies America. And then also, if you want to check out the audio-only podcast versions of my Movies America live episodes, that's my spoiler-free reviews that I do on Sunday, you can go to moviesmerica.com or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, places like that. And then, actually, if you would also check me out on the social media sites like X and Instagram and Facebook and Gab. And I'm on those locations all under @MoviesAmerica. So it is very easy to find me out there, all right? So get to it, everybody. All right, thanks for watching. Later.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got a popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm gonna be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.